And another cool thing about this guitar is that the day I got the guitar and I posted on Facebook, on the Facebook groups from, ESP fans, ESP collectors, I received a call from an area code I wasn't familiar with. And I answered the phone, and it was Dino Muradian, the guy, the artist that did this amazing guitar. And he said, hey, my name is Dino, this and that. I was like, I know who you are. I was like, why are you calling me? And he's like, look, I saw your post and I wanted to ask you, how do you like the guitar? How is the guitar? Because he said, I did all the work, the artwork, but I never seen the actual finish, the guitar finish and ready to go. So I saw your post and, I wanted to call you. And it was really great to receive a call from Dino. Dino, for the ones that are at the guitar groups, for the ones that know Dino Muradian, he's a cool guy, very easygoing. He's not only an artist, he's a cool guy. And, I had the pleasure to talk to him. We even did like an interview in an episode that I did when I got the guitar. But I removed that video, it's no longer available, but we had an interview with Dino.
You're watching Guitar State with Alex Lopez.
Hey everyone, this is Alex Lopez and welcome to another episode of My Guitar Estate, where every guitar has a story. And today I have the great pleasure of talking about the ESP USA Nosferatu guitar. This is one of the rarest guitars that I own. And since the Kirk Hammett book was released this month, I wanted to take the opportunity to share the story of this guitar, which is the number one out of the 15 guitars that were made. Well, the story of this guitar comes from way back on the day. As you know, I'm a Metallica fan, and this story is linked to the early 90s when I saw the VHS tape about a year and a half in the Life of Metallica when they were recording the Black Album, which, if I'm not sure if you remember, James Hetfield appears on that video with a Nosferatu t-shirt. Being a Metallica fan, being a James Hetfield fan, I was like, what is Nosferatu? I think I was on my 12, 13 years old, and obviously there was no Google, no YouTube, nothing. So I was like, what is Nosferatu? But I saw a cool logo. I'm not sure if the t-shirt had the Nosferatu, the picture, the graphic, but I remember the logo and always stuck in my head, the Nosferatu logo. Years later, I was finally able to connect the dots with Nosferatu, the character, with that logo, this cool, iconic vampire. And it was the times when I was a teen, started to collect figures from movies, McFarlane toys at the time, and posters from movies. And that's when my collector interest started to flourish. And that's the first time that I think I understood who Nosferatu was. But not only that, when I saw this guitar at the ESP website, and I found out that this wasn't paint or a sticker or just airbrush graphic, that it was pyrography, meaning good burning, that this was burned on the wood and created this amazing graphic, amazing picture or portrait. It took me back to my high school years when we had these activities during the week that you were able to to do different activities such as electrical stuff, cars, painting, and one of them was pyrography. And I remember how the pyrography worked on the wood, and I found it like really really interesting and amazing to know that there was someone that is able to do this on wood. And that is one of the reasons that I said I had to own this guitar. I had to get it. And not only that, being an ESP fan and knowing that this guitar was an Eclipse guitar, a model that I always liked, one of the, to me, the more classy models that ESP has, I was like, this is the whole package. This is art on a guitar. And not only that, it was made here in California, made in the in the United States. And one of the things that I love the most is that it says made in California on the headstock, which to me I found it very sexy. Obviously, the Japanese guitars are the iconic ESPs, but being here in California, living here in California, and having a guitar that was made in California, it makes this guitar even more special. And it gets better. So everything that I own and I want and everything I do, to me, the visuals, the graphics, the way it looks, it's important. So I was, stoked about seeing this guitar, but then I found out that the artist that did the pyrography was the same artist that did the Elk ESP MX250 guitar for James Hetfield. I'm sure you remember which guitar I'm talking about. You're a Metallica fan or James Hetfield fan. You know what I'm talking about. So I found out that Dino Muradian, who is the guy that did this guitar, was the same guy that been doing all the guitars for James that had pyrography. At the time was the old guitar, and if I'm not mistaken, the Unforgiving acoustic guitar. And after the release of this one, he did 2 or 3 more. Actually did the snakeskin guitar, then the Call of Tulu, and I think did another one, the one I did in the charity. But that made this guitar even, it was like layers, it gets better and better, because to me, even though this is the Nosferatu guitar and it's pyrography, Eclipse model, to me is like the same guy that did James Hetfield's guitar is the same guy that is doing these guitars. What else? 15 of these guitars were released, and this is number 1 out of the 15 guitars. Now, there's a story, not sure is a fact or not, that 16 guitars were made. I haven't read Kirk Hammett's book, but there was a rumor going on once these guitars were released. I got my guitar. There was a rumor that Kirk Hammett ordered one of these guitars because, like he needed to have one of these. Nosferatu, it's kind of like his signature because he loves horror movies. So I'm not sure if he has 15 or he got a 16. That, feel free, to write on the comments, whoever has the fact, or maybe it's on the book. I don't have the book yet, but that's what I wanted to share. And another cool thing about this guitar is that the day I got the guitar and I posted on Facebook, on the Facebook groups from, ESP fans, ESP collectors, I received a call from an area code I wasn't familiar with. And I answered the phone, and it was Dino Muradian, the guy, the artist that did this amazing guitar. And he said, "Hey, my name is Dino, this and that." I was like, I know who you are. I was like, "Why are you calling me?" And he's like, "Look, I saw your post and I wanted to ask you, how do you like the guitar? How is the guitar? Because he said, I did all the work, the artwork, but I never seen the the actual finish, the guitar finish and ready to go. So I saw your post and I wanted to call you. And it was really great to receive a call from Dino. Dino, for the ones that are at the guitar groups, for the ones that know Dino Muradian, he's a cool guy, very easygoing. He's not only an artist, he's a cool guy. And I had the pleasure to talk to him. We even did like an interview in an episode that I did when I got the guitar. But I removed that video. It's no longer available, but we had an interview with Dino. But anyway, so this guitar has so many memories. Like I said, it comes from the Nosferatu t-shirt from James, then goes to my experience with pyrography. I have no clue how to do that, but I remember in my high school, they taught us how to do pyrography. That doesn't mean that I know how to do it. I was a bad student on that. And then, being a collector for figures, as you can see behind me, being a fan of vampires, being a fan of iconic horror movies, this guitar is everything on it. And there were some details that Dino was sharing that on the headstock, mine, it's like kind of like each guitar had something different. And I think mine had something with this Raven, I think it is. I'm not sure what the word. And but he said that. Now let's talk about the specifications of this guitar. The top is maple, and this is one of the nicest maple tops that you ever gonna see on a guitar. Also, the pickups are Seymour Duncan Black Winter pickups, handcrafted by MJ at the Duncan Custom Shop. So everything is top of the line. What else? We have the bridge, Tone Pros bridge. And let's go up. Look at that. The iconic ESP logo. And look at the artwork done by Dino. Such a unique guitar. We have the Espresso. Now let's take a look. The guitar inside the iconic ESP USA guitar case. Look at that. Such a beauty. And here it goes, the certificate of authenticity right there. Signed by Dino. And this is one of 15, as you can see. So, if anybody interested on this guitar, feel free to send me a message. My guitars are not for sale, but if you make me an offer that I can refuse, definitely we can talk. Here's the specifications. I already shared that with you guys, but this is just so you see what comes inside the case. Look at that. This guitar has everything I love. It has horror, it has metal, it has nostalgia, it has artwork, unique craftsmanship, and most importantly, it has a great story, because behind each guitar there's a great story. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to make a comment, and most importantly, make sure you share it with your friends. Guitar collectors, guitar aficionados who are passionate about unique instruments, passionate about Nosferatu, passion about Metallica, and passion about pyrography. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I see you next week.